Hi folks, welcome to Rudy Vision. Today we're going to do the weekly ESO price guide for the week of May 27th through June 9th. So keep watching. All right, folks, let's get right into it. First off, temper alloys continuing to see a decline, now trending into the 4.8K range to 5.5K range. They're almost abandoning completely buying it at 5K. So within the next few days, you're going to see probably 4K to 4.5K temper alloys. It's devaluing pretty rapidly. So you probably are going to want to price it into the upper 4.8K to 4.9K range if you want to make the sale. Like I said, it's continuing to decline and worsen on the market. Drew's wax has bottomed out. We are seeing the reversal trend now. It is starting to do a slight uptick. People have given up farming it because it's not so lucrative anymore. And now it's hovering between the 3.3K range and 4K range. So if you're sitting on Drew's wax, it may just actually uptick in the coming days. But for now, we're seeing the bottom of the market on that. So it's got nowhere to go but up. So good news if you invested in Drew's wax and got it really cheap, and now you want to sell it because now it's going to go on a slightly uptick trend. Rawson's, that continues to devalue. It's now in the 7.7K range to 8K range. The buyer is almost hesitant to buy in the 8K range. I had mine in the upper 8K range, and I barely made one sale in Mournhold last week on it, and I was the only seller for a single listing on it too. So that tells me right there the buyer's fed up with the 8K range and they want it in the 7K range now for Rawson. So that is the story with Rawson's. Moving on to blue plating. That has been in the 11 to 12K range now. And I'm not seeing a whole lot of movement on that. Sometimes you'll get it into the 10K range occasionally, with some sellers making it slightly cheaper than that range. But overall, that is the optimal price range between 11K to 12K on blue plating. I hope that eventually it'll get back down into that 10K range or less, but we'll see how things trend. Purple plating is going downward. It's now between 24K to 26K, with the buyers wanting it 25K and less. They'll pay 26K here and there if there's no one else with a better price, but like I said, the trend is downward. Yellow plating, also a downward trend between 80K to 84K, and I wouldn't be surprised within the next few days if you see plating that is in the 75K to 79K range. It will happen. It is devaluing pretty quickly now. So don't be surprised if it happens. And if you want to get the leg up on your competition and make that sale, you're going to have to go into that range to make the sale. Platinum refined took a little bit of a dip. It's in the 8K to 10K range. It's still going strong considering that, we've had several weeks of all these different types of bonuses in the game that is giving more materials. So despite all that, it's still going strong at the 8K to 10K range. It will go up in the months to come, more than likely, unless the supply shortage is dealt with. Perfect row, still very much the same, anywhere between 15K to 17K range. I would even probably try to sell it in that upper range of 17K because the buyer has pretty much gotten used to the fact that they're not going to get cheap perfect row anymore, and trying to find cheap perfect row is a little bit of a challenge. So perfect row holding strong at that, and a good opportunity for those fishing. If you want to make some gold, I would definitely take the time to do some fishing because you can make a lot of gold with Perfect Row now. Ethereal Dust is a rapidly declining market, and it's getting worse. Now into the 145K range to 169K range. Last week, 169 was the low point. Now people are figuring it out that, hey, we want our sale quickly. We're going to have to make it a lot cheaper. So now, if you want to sell Ethereal Dust, it's getting even worse now because you're going to have to set it into that lower 145K range to 150. That seems to be the true optimal. I think now if you price it at 169, they won't even buy it at that. But you could test it, see what works for you. But it's devaluing pretty quickly. EXP potions, the 50% one. Last week there was a supply shortage. This week, not so much. It's well stocked. And we're looking at the 4 to 4.5K range for that, for the 50%. 100% potions are going between 13K to 14K. That's pretty much where they've been holding steady. 150% ones, this one took a beating. It is now into the 40K range to 45K range. If you try to peg it at 50K, you're more than likely not going to make the sale on it. They are getting very picky now, the buyers. So you're going to have to make your price as low as you can go if you want that sale on the 150% ones. Not a good time to sell them. It is rapidly devaluing in price. Fortified Nerd Crocs about the same, between 1K to 1.5K range. Potent Nerd Crocs, I've seen them as cheap as 12K and with a high of 14K. So depending on what market you're in, adjust accordingly to the trends. All right, my pick of the week this week. It's going to be very unconventional and unheard of, possibly, but it's not being talked about, and I think it does need to be talked about. The Oko Runestone. There is a severe supply shortage of this runestone. Okay. When I went out to buy this about a week ago, the cheapest stack of Oko was 40K. Okay, let that sink in. 40K for a stack of Oko. Okay, this is unheard of. Okay, and the reason why it's so expensive right now, because you have all these farming events going on, like the anniversary and the double node and the double gold bonus, and so people are actually crafting. And when you go to craft for your daily writs, for enchanting in particular, 2 of the 3 options are going to require the Oko runestone. Otherwise, you won't be able to do that specific crafting writ. So, because of that, it has shot up the price big time on Oko. And, this is a great opportunity for those that have a lot of Oko to sell it because you're going to make a lot of money. So, if you're sitting on Oko, that's the big winner for this week and for the weeks to come until the supply shortage gets back down to normal levels. All right, folks, so that concludes my video. If you like this video, please hit the like button and become a subscriber. I put out videos on Elder Scrolls Online each and every week, and I'll see you next